You are watching PBS, the Pinecone Broadcasting System.
While the pinecone archetype has persisted in human consciousness since before recorded history, the earliest depiction of a pinecone figure in physical form was found in cave paintings in southern France in 1935 by a young boy looking for 6 seashells on the seashore near his seaside shack. Carbon dated to nearly 10,000 BC, these rudimentary drawings depict a pinecone-like figure involved in some sort of hunting or fertility ritual.
The next representation of this form is found among the pyramid art of the ancient Egyptians, depicted here as a minion of Anubis. This is the first event in which we see the pinecone figure associated with fright. The pervasiveness of this figure throughout the art and architecture of the ancient Egyptians indeed informs us that he was a powerful symbol.
It's no surprise to see the pinecone associated with Anubis or the Sphinx in these contexts. The concept of the afterlife is very important to the people of the Nile Delta during this time period, and as we will see time and time again, the pinecone is perpetually very close to ending up in the afterlife himself. The fact that he is associated with these sort of shadowy characters throughout history is in itself no accident. What is perhaps more surprising though, given the number of perilous depictions of the pinecone, are the handful of instances where we find the pinecone in triumph. Indeed, it would seem that the pinecone figure reflects both humanity's darkest fears and biggest joys all at once. Few ideas in history can reflect that sort of duality and yet remain so pure and innocent.
In purely mythological terms, there is perhaps no figure more widely represented across cultures. In addition to the art of the ancient Egyptians and the people of prehistory, the pinecone is represented in the cultural histories of nearly every group on the planet. In ancient Israel, for example, he was regarded as one who helped Moses to deliver the people from their exile in Egypt, and his specter was instrumental in the development of early Hebraic law.
We have seen the pinecone represented in many fashions, most of them in abject terror, but one that has been missing up until this point is that of conqueror. One of Pinecone's accomplishments that has the widest reverberations was his conquest of Asia in the 13th century. Known later as the Mongol Empire, this was the largest contiguous empire in all of history, not to be confused with one of his fiercest rivals, Conan the Barbarian. Genghis Khan proved to be a capable leader. The most innovative of his administrative achievements was the introduction of a standardized form of currency, now known as the gold standard. It's a little-known fact that up to 60% of residents of present-day Asia are descendants of this great leader.
In 1502, Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro sailed on a mission to find a passage through the New World to its western coast, in hopes of finding a route to the Pacific Ocean. He, along with Vasco Núñez Rocky Balboa, discovered the Isthmus of Panama, uniting the heretofore separate hemispheres of the Earth. Unfortunately, the voyage lasted much longer than expected, and due to unforeseen adverse weather conditions, his ship ran out of supplies and food, forcing the crew to resort to cannibalism.
When researching the iconography of such a prevalent archetype in thousands of historical documents like this, certain patterns start to emerge. The evolution of such a figure brings with it a certain adaptability to changing environmental and cultural elements. Toward the Renaissance, pinecone adherents started to suffer what we've termed a certain battle fatigue, and once again we start to see the figure as representative of triumph and of beauty. As seen here, the figure appears in Pinecone Angelo's Sistine Chapel, enjoying a personal encounter with God.
As modern civilization developed, so too did the means of artistic expression. Contemporary metalworking techniques combined with engineering advances in the shipping industry allowed the French government to bestow this statue as a gift to the United States for introducing pants to them and inventing democracy.
It was this gift of democracy that would make Abraham Lincoln America's greatest president. Born the child of a humble sharecropper, this Ivy League educated man was just like you and me, standing 8 feet 4 inches tall, holding world records in both the long jump and synchronized swimming. Pinecone invented the steam engine, television, and the electric car. Often called the father of modern dance, he has been immortalized in some of America's greatest monuments, including the world's largest ball of twine, the Museum of Medical Oddities, and Niagara Falls.
Living in our hearts, minds, and messy underwear, Pinecone stands as a monument to our best and brightest, past, present, and future. He's also a giant sissy and tends to run away at each possible opportunity. Nonetheless, the Pinecone remains our most valuable historical figure, and perhaps the most important American to ever walk the face of the earth.